Welcome to the Irish Examiner's live stream of this Coop Superstores Premier Senior Hurling Championship encounter of Blackrock and Erins Own. Blackrock, of course, the defending champions in Cork. And Erins Own, well, last year they proved to be quite difficult to beat. They got to the semi-finals. Many people did not see that coming. What's going to happen in 2021? Well, we won't get a conclusive answer, obviously, tonight, but we may get some indication. We'll preview the game very shortly with Mark Landers, but first, let's hear from Erins Own manager Martin Bohn, and before him, Blackrock Supremo Fergal Ryan. The Co-op Superstores Premier Cork Senior Hurling Championship is back tonight. It's Blackrock, the champions, up against Erins Own, and Fergal Ryan, the manager of Blackrock, has joined us. Fergal, Blackrock going into a championship as champions for the first time since the early 2000s. Is it a different feeling? Is it a better feeling? Is it a thing that adds the pressure? What difference does it make going in with the trophy in hand?
Well, it's a very nice feeling, number one, to know that you've been successful the year previous. Does it add a bit of pressure? I suppose it can do. Everybody takes it differently. I suppose we've kind of parked it, I suppose, and have just gone on and said, look, this is another year. We've got to do a job this year as well. Maybe it's an incentive for other teams to say, hey, look, we're playing the team that won it last year, so maybe it helps them to rise their game. I don't know, but we've had much the same approach as we've had last year. So I wouldn't say it's impacted us in any way that I can immediately put my finger on, but it's certainly a nice feeling coming in and knowing that you've won the year previous.
In some ways, does it take pressure off? Because now that whole Blackrock haven't won it in X amount of years is gone. We've seen teams in the past have had to, try and play with that pressure on them. And once they've won, they've actually kicked on a bit. Glen Rovers, it seemed to work for them. Dublin in football a couple of years ago, and up until this year, they practically owned Sam Maguire. So in some ways, does it take the pressure off?
You'd like to think so. I suppose we were a long time trying to get a county since 2002. You'd like to think that's the way, but it's probably a little bit too early to say, is that the case? I mean, in 5 weeks' time, we'll know very, very quickly as to is that the case, because we'll have a better idea as to whether we've qualified for the quarters or semi, if that's what we do. There's lots of ways you can probably take it and say it might have this effect, as might have that effect. I think the important thing for Blackrock is that they understand that they're in that top table, if you want to call it that. We were lucky last year in a couple of games. A couple of games went to extra time. So certainly from the quarterfinal stage on, when we played Douglas, UCC, and then again in the final, they were all very close matches. So, other teams can take a bit from those games and say, hey, we're not too far away if Blackrock can win it and we were so close. So, it's whatever way you view it. Ultimately, you'll be judged on your performances that come, on Friday night and the week after against Charleville, and then 3 weeks later against the Bears. So, we'll be able to see after that whether it has impacted or not in a positive or negative way.
I appreciated some games last year. There were small crowds, but crowds hopefully will grow throughout the season and bring a sense of normality back with them. How much do championship games need that? What difference do they make, good or bad, to a team?
Look, I think it's very important. I think everyone has grown up that's in the GA community, let's say, being able to go to games and follow teams when they decide they want to follow them, or, when they're able to follow them. It has been a very different year, and, maybe there's a little bit of an extra pep in people's step around hurling in Cork now, seeing as the lads reached the All-Ireland final, that it might add a little bit to those neutrals who say, I wouldn't have went to see that game because my own club isn't involved, but they might say, they've been away from games for so long that it might give an extra bit of for them to go to games. But from the point of view of the effect on the pitch, I think, yes, you can underestimate that depending on what team is playing and what type of following they have. I mean, obviously some teams very much feed off it. Other teams then, I suppose, if things aren't going your way and they can hear those rumblings in the crowd, it can have a negative impact. But I think everyone would be delighted to see more crowds definitely at all the games this weekend and weekends to come.
You mentioned Cork getting to the All-Ireland final there. You two lads in the 26th, the match day squad for the All-Ireland final, and a few more in the extended panel. When they came back in, given the way that game went, was it a case of you needing to pick them up, or was it a case of them just being so mad to get back out there on the pitch and get hurling again that actually they injected a bit of energy back into the group. How did it work?
Well, it definitely injected it, a better standard in training sessions, because you had 4 guys of a very high standard coming back in. I suppose you'd always have to try and put your arm around the shoulder for, guys that have come back after a loss of an All-Ireland final. For 2 of the guys, it was immediate disappointment. They were involved in the 26, and for other 2, it was nearly, they weren't involved or were disappointed that they weren't in that 26. So it's kind of 2 different feelings. Maybe the 2 that weren't involved, might have had a bit more time to get over it. And maybe Niall and Alan, who were involved in that 26, might be a bit of a lingering effect. And you can say that for any intercounty player. But, we'll find out on Saturday. I think that we'll see a performance from our lot guys. Be it their best performance or not, we're not too sure. But I think we'll see a performance from our guys anyway. And I would imagine most intercounty teams will be looking for their intercounty guys to put in a performance.
It's the first game of the championship. Is there always a bit of uncertainty going in, because you can play, you can train, you can play in league matches and all that, but championship is championship, and maybe there's always just a kind of a question mark of where are we before you play the first game, and you only really find out during the first game. Yeah,
that's definitely the case anyway, because the year, was it Newtown beat us before we reached the latter stages. We had won the league final that year and played very well against SARS in a league final, and we thought we were in fantastic shape. And we went out against Newtown, who are a very well drilled team and always have fire in their belly. And they gave us a nice clipping down below in Mourneabbey. So it is very much, you might think you're going well, but championship has a funny effect on some people or some teams. Some teams, when it's not going your way, might take a negative, feeling as to how it's going, and it might not happen for them. Others like the buzz of championship. So it's very different, and you don't really know until you're through 15, 20 minutes of that game as to, are you up for it? Are you really, really up for it? And you'll find out very, very quick.
And if there's one team to test that, if there's one team who will put the questions to you, it's Erins Own. They're the underdogs, but God, they love that tag, don't they? We saw that last year again.
Absolutely. I mean, look, they were beaten by the Glen in the semi. I was actually down at that match in Páirc Uí Rinn, and they had it in control after the first half. And the Glen, as Glen do, they fought, and I suppose got their reward. And it's not that the Glen were underdogs in that game; they were probably favourites in that game, but ended up coming out of it. So there's very little. I think the teams that are competing to the latter stages last year, it could have went either way. You need a bit of luck, and I think we had that bit of luck last year. I think we made a bit of our own luck as well, from the point of view of, at any stage we didn't drop our heads, and maybe that was a little bit of maturity coming into the team. But definitely Erins Own, and have been for as long as I can remember, an excellent club side who will put it up to any team, whether it is Blackrock this year because we won last year, or the Glen the year previous, or Imokilly, they'll put it up to any team.
Okay, well, Fergal, look, the very best of luck for the Coop Superstores Premier Senior Hurling Championship of 2021. So many of the games will be shown on the Irish Examiner social media channels, and of course people hopefully will be able to get to the games. Maybe last year they didn't get the chance because the crowd numbers were so limited, but hopefully those numbers will grow this season. Fergal, best of luck. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks a million. Cheers.
Well, delighted to be joined by Erins Own manager, Martin Bohn. Martin, I feel like I'm completely underselling you by calling you the manager, because you do so many jobs in the club. Before we talk about the game itself, and before we talk about the Coop Superstores Premier Senior Hurling Championship returning, and of course it will be covered live on the Irish Examiner social media channels, you must just simply love the club. Otherwise you wouldn't do all these jobs.
Sure, I suppose, it has been part of my life since I was a very young man. I know nothing else but being involved in the club. As when I started out, the club was only a junior club, and it has developed over the years, and we've developed facilities. And I mean, I spent a period of 30 years as secretary, and then I was involved with COP for a few years, and then I came back to the club. So it's a way of life, really.
The success you've had has been brilliant, but in some ways that's not the sign of a club. It's, as you say, the facilities, the tentacles of the club that stretches into the community, all the stuff that brings people together. That must give you immense pride, to be involved in such a club, and the fact that it has such a central part in the community.
Absolutely, and I mean, we always pride ourselves in being the parish unity, in the sense like that we're the only parish-based club in the, like, there's lots of clubs in the parish, but we're the only one which stretches right across the parish. And I suppose back in the middle 70s, we started buying pitches and developing facilities and that was the start of the growth of our club, from a junior club to a senior club. And obviously the facilities has had a huge impact on the development of teams and so forth.
Okay, well, let's move on to Friday night's game. It's a tough enough start, isn't it? Blackrock, the champions.
Well, we got a handy one, the champions in the first round. Look, I mean, we have to be realistic. We're playing the champions. They were very, very impressive last year. I think everybody would agree with that. They have a big, strong panel of players, and we have the utmost respect for Blackrock. But having said that, we want to go up and give a good account for our own club, and all the players are very anxious to do that. So hopefully it'll go well for us.
And you're a club that just quite simply cannot be written off. I remember ahead of the Sarsfields game last season, people said, well, they'll give it a good rattle, but they mightn't do it. You did it. Even in the first round, people said, well, they'll be tough in the group, but they mightn't get out. You got out. So you just seem to have that kind of defiant attitude, which you can't just place into a club. It comes over time.
Well, definitely there is a great attitude within the group, and I suppose we're very, very lucky in a sense that we have 4 or 5 lads who've been with us an awful long time. I was only speaking to one or two of them last night, and they played the county final in 2000, which is 21 years ago. And irrespective of what happens tomorrow night, there is no club, I think, in the country would ever have players like that again. We have been absolutely blessed with these guys. Obviously, they're coming towards the end of their careers, but I could never say enough about them. And they have been the driving force right through since I came back with the team. We have a lot of lads who are coming in and learning to play senior hurling because they played in the lesser grades at underage level, which, coming up to senior then is a huge step up. But these older guys have been immense, absolutely immense for us.
Is there a worry that there might be a bit of a gap there between the older guys who are now stepping away or coming closer to the end and the younger guys who are just coming in, and maybe, just maybe, it will be a tough season because you have older players and you have younger players, and maybe you don't have as much around the middle?
Well, that is an absolute certainty. We don't have much around the middle, and I suppose like what we have done and what the players have done themselves, really, because they've kind of taken ownership of the thing, but they've really bonded as a group. But obviously, like, let's be honest, the day has to come when these older lads will not be able to do it on the pitch, and we know that, and they know that, and when that day comes, I don't know what's going to happen, but at the moment they're still doing it, and I'd be confident they'll do it again tomorrow night for us.
Robbie O'Flynn played well with Cork this season. When he came back into training, was he a bit down, or actually was it the opposite? Was he so just glad to get back to the club and do what he loves doing with the people he loves doing it with? They kind of gave everyone a boost.
Well, I suppose it was a bit of both, because the first week in training he couldn't actually train because he got a very bad knock in the All-Ireland final, which resulted in a dead leg. And looking at his leg, you could see that he got a serious knock. But Robbie's a very optimistic guy, and I suppose all top level players are the same. The inter-county season was over. It didn't finish the way they wanted it, but he was driving on to the next challenge, and that is the club championship, and he's eagerly looking forward to that now.
You played Blackrock in the group stages last year as well. Can you take anything from that? Have you looked back on that, or is it completely irrelevant?
Well, I think it's totally irrelevant, to be honest. The only thing we can take from it is that we gave them a 9 or 10 point lead, and we came back into the match subsequently. But Blackrock were a young team that time starting out. Now, if we give them a 9 or 10 point lead tomorrow night, I think they'll absolutely bury us, because they're county champions. They've gained a huge amount of confidence from winning the championship. And, obviously they're far more experience now. So from our point of view, to have any chance, we've got to keep the game tight and try and stay in it as long as we can.
Martin Bohn, the Erins own manager, and just about everything else, I think, in Erins own. He's done every job in that club. Before him, Fergal Ryan of Blackrock. Mark Landers is with us for this game. Mark, we'll get into what the lad said in just a moment, but first, let's take a look at the teams. Blackrock first, and while we do have the 1 to 15 and they will wear those numbers, their positions may change a bit. We'll call that a liquid formation, perhaps.
Yeah, you'd have to say that at this moment in time, because I see that Tyke Deasy is number 9 in the programme. I couldn't see him playing there. And I suppose, there are a number of players that we say, certainly looking at their team, that you'd be surprised. I suppose the likes of John O'Sullivan, Richie Lay, Jamie Ryan, David O'Farrell and Kieran Cormack don't seem to be in the starting 15 this evening, which shows the strength of the panel, I suppose, on the Blackrock side of things. But I suppose we'll have to wait till the start of the game to see what the real 15 that'll take the place and what their positions are. But it's great to be here this evening, I suppose. That's the most important thing. And the club championship is back. That's the big thing after, I suppose, a good season from a Cork perspective.
And back with the crowd.
Back with a crowd,
it feels
yes.
different.
Yeah, it does.
As great as it was to be here last year, we were honoured to be here and we were privileged to get to games. It wasn't something that many other people got to do, but there is a big crowd in tonight and that's good.
Yeah, there's a fantastic crowd here this evening. It's filling up, and we're still kind of 5 or 6 minutes away from the throw-in, and there will probably be a late rush and stuff for that, because I suppose particularly Blackrock will be very local to here, so people will probably stroll down. It's a lovely evening for hurling. There's only a slight breeze that's blowing from the city end of the field down to the scorebox side here in Páirc Uí Rinn. But as you said, it's great to be here and great to have crowds back, and it was something that was sorely missed last year.
We took a look at the Blackrock team, so let's have a look at the Erins' own team. Robbie O'Flynn, I guess the name that jumps off that team sheet. Kieran Murphy as well. Morris O'Carroll, who scored a goal in this fixture last year when they met at pretty much the same stage. Blackrock winning after Erins' own pretty much gave them the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was a funny game in actual fact. On that occasion, Blackrock were totally dominant for most of the game and had gone into a 10-point lead. But the hero Murphy came on and he had a huge influence in the game. And I see this evening he's starting a wing forward. I suppose the one thing that Shane Murphy, who's been a huge stalwart for Erins' own, doesn't seem to be in the starting 15, so he's a loss. And I suppose if you go back to last year, they played against the Glen in the semi-final above in Páirc Uí Rinn, and they lost Stephen Cronin, James O'Flynn and Shane Murphy in that first half of that game. And I think if injuries, I suppose, hadn't been as severe, they would probably have had a big say in the result of that match. But that's part of the parcel of the game. And I suppose it is part of it that you're going to have injuries, and there's nothing you can do on the night of the matches and stuff like that if you have an injury. But the big thing is that we have a championship now that everybody knows when they're going to be playing, and that gives great solidity for the club mentors. We say the people in charge, that they know exactly when the matches are going to be on, and your players and stuff like that as well. That the championship heretofore, with a new championship structure last year, which has worked out fantastically, groups of 4 with all players getting 3 matches at a minimum. I mean, that is fantastic to have your club players having that certainty, but it's also the certainty of the fixtures as well, that you actually know when you're going to be playing. That's the big thing.
We spoke to Fergal Ryan. People might have seen it earlier on. If you didn't, you can go back and check it out. He said, as much as you want to be ready and as much as you try to prepare, there's always a bit of uncertainty going into the first game of the championship.
Look, every manager is going to go through that, and when you no different asking my own lads in Killa during the week, how are you going? And everybody says, look, we think we're going okay, but you won't actually know till the ball is thrown in. You'll have a fair idea after 10 or 15 minutes whether you're in the game and how you're hurling and stuff like that. But I think everybody would feel the same way. But the big thing is, from Fergal Ryan's perspective, is he's coming in as the manager of the reigning county champions, which now all of a sudden they're a marked team. I suppose they would have, been outsiders in some respects starting out last year, and nobody would have been keeping a close eye on them in fact, but as the season went on, they were growing and growing in terms of their performances, and their win over UCC after extra time was fantastic, and the county final, would have to say, was one of the best county finals that has been witnessed in Cork for a long time. Just a pity that there wasn't a big crowd between the Glen and the Rockies, because I think everybody would have been looking for that to get to that county final. But we watched it in TG Car, and it was a magnificent spectacle for Cork hurling, and I'm just hoping that this year that we're going to see more of that, what we saw last year, and the standard of the Cork County Championship improving, because that's really, for our inter-county team to improve. I think we need a good strong club championship, and we need the county champions, whoever they are, coming out and making a statement in the Munster Club Championship as well.
And of course, the AIB Munster Club Championship is back this season. Perfect conditions for the game. The teams have no excuses, do they?
No, they don't. And I mean, I must say, walking into and looking at the pitch this evening, it's absolutely magnificent. And a great credit down to Kevin O'Donovan and his team in the county board and the people in charge on the groundsmen and stuff like that. It's absolutely fantastic. There's a slight breeze blowing from the city and into the scoreboard side here on Páirc Uí Rinn. It may have an effect on it, but I would say in the overall context, I don't expect so. I suppose it's going to get dark, there's no doubt. It's going to finish under lights and stuff like that. And obviously we have a great referee this evening in Diarmuid Cowan as well, to kick off the championship. That's
good to see him back as well,
good,
because he's been out of senior grade for a few years. He's had hip surgery. He refereed a county final a couple of weeks ago, so it's good to see him back. Yeah, I was here at that county final, and he was his excellent self, and he's a top class referee. I think there's Jim McAvoy is one of his linesmen. I don't know. I think one of the Larkins could be his linesman as well. So you obviously expect a top class performance from the referee and stuff like that, and his umpires, and there's a lot of preparation goes into both sides and all teams going out this weekend, and you just don't want a result of a match coming down to a refereeing decision. I'm not expecting that will happen, but we have seen occasions. We won't have Hawkeye here tonight, or we won't have replays and stuff like that. We'll be just getting on what the referee says is key. Even better than Hawkeye, we've got Mark Landers. What kind of match are you expecting, or is that impossible to predict given it's the opening round?
Yeah, it is the opening round, and I suppose everybody will be just a little bit tense, I would expect. If you go back to last year, this particular match, Blackrock came out of the traps. It was my first real sign, or first time seeing Alan Connolly. He lit up the occasion on that night, and I expect that he'll come in for close attention, more than likely off of Cormac Dooley or Cian O'Connor, who had a fantastic season for Erins last year. I'm expecting that, when I mentioned the 5 fellas that haven't played, they have been replaced, and a number of the players, John Cashman, Alan O'Callaghan and Tyke Deasy, they didn't make the starting 15 for the county final last year, and I suppose it just shows you the strength of the bench that Blackrock have, that they can replace 5 lads from last year with 5 new guys.
Was Tyke Deasy a kind of a victim of his own success, in a sense that he was so good off the bench he didn't start that game?
Well, you see, I suppose there's no doubt that when you have an ace in the pack, and that if things get tight and you're maybe struggling for scores, and you have a guy that can come off the bench and make a big impression, that is probably a factor, there's no question about it. But I think Fergal Ryan and his selectors, and I see John Brown and Joe Young, Kevin Murphy, Donncha Flynn and Kieran O'Keefe, they would have made hard calls last year all year long. I think everybody looking in from the outside would have said, those guys were worth their place starting. Yeah. But you know what? There's a lot of stuff happens behind the scenes that you're not privy to and stuff like that. So I've no doubt that they made those decisions with the best interest of the team at heart and the best interest of the club. And they were vindicated at the end of the day that they brought home the Sean Og Murphy Cup to the village of Blackrock after a long wait. And I suppose the scenes that were seen in Blackrock probably was maybe a contributor to the championship being suspended afterwards. But I suppose when Blackrock,
we got it finished. Yeah, we got it finished, and
exactly,
we can move on.
Exactly,
we can move on. It's 2021. Fergal Ryan, I put it to him that winning the championship last year actually kind of takes pressure off them this year, because with a club like Blackrock, and Glen Rovers had it over about a 20-year period or so as well, they were always beaten with the stick of, you're too big to not be winning championships, and another year added more pressure. They kept hearing over the last number of years, haven't won it since 2002, haven't won it since 2002. They've now won it. So does that kind of take the pressure off?
It takes it off to a degree, but it still doesn't diminish what is their primary purpose this year, which is to win the county again. The big thing, and I think anybody who wins the county championship will be to retain your title. Yeah. And that is the pressure that's on today. The other pressure that Blackrock as a club have had is that they had huge success at underage level, particularly at minor and under 21. And the big criticism that was out there amongst the general public is that they haven't brought it forward to senior. So is that a criticism? It's not really. It's just the way players take time to develop. They're not going to go straight from minor or under 20 straight into the senior and win it. They have won it now, and I think that is a huge help. I think they'll grow from confidence, and I would be expecting a big performance tonight from Blackrock.
We're almost ready to go. Erins Own against Blackrock. Blackrock, the county champions. Erins Own last year reached the semi-final where they were beaten by Glen Rovers, who were within inches or seconds, whatever way you want to look at it, of winning the county title themselves last year. I mean, people forget because extra time was slightly one-sided. Glen Rovers came close. They really rattled Blackrock that day.
Oh, it was a magnificent game. Like, it was fantastic, you know. So
we'll have the national anthem. Then we'll open up the Co-op Superstores Premier Senior Hurling Championship live on the Irish Examiner YouTube channel. You know, I used to try to get here very early to find parking because parking around here is a nightmare. I used to hate it. Now I love it. And the reason I love it is because it's part of the experience of a match where there's a crowd. The crowd is back and it's just beautiful. It brings so much to a game. It adds to the atmosphere so much. Last year, it was great to get to games. It was great that the championship was on, but it was sport as it had to be rather than sport how we really wanted it. Sport is getting back to normality. The crowd is here, the teams are here, and we are underway. And Blackrock and Erins Own scramble around the middle. Mark Landers is going to have a look around to see who's going where and who's doing what. Trying to get on an early possession there was Mark O'Keefe. A long, high lofted ball. We're going to see a few individual battles and a few kind of group battles as the players get involved in rucks and try and win that dirty ball. Morris O'Carroll goes long, scored a goal in this fixture last year. Blackrock able to soak it up, and it was something that was noticeable last year. They were really good under pressure. They moved the ball through the lines well. Niall Cashman gave it out there to the corner forward Mark O'Keefe, and Mark O'Keefe into the city end gets the opener in the Cork Senior Hurling Championship, and Blackrock have an early lead.
Yeah, fantastic ball. I think it was John Cashman might have won the ball out to his brother Niall, and Niall could have had a shot himself. He played a short ball into Mark O'Keefe straight over the bar. Good start for the Rockies.
As we were saying, last year Erins Own didn't start in this game and it really cost them. They lost by 4 points in the end, but had they played at all in the first half, or the first half of the first half, it might have been different. They're playing their way out. Cronin. O'Flynn will make runs in behind, and that is a free in, and possibly more punishment to come for Blackrock. Making a darting run was Brian Ramsey.
Yeah. He seems.
And what way did the referee see that? Did he see it as a deliberate kind of body check, or how did he see it?
There seemed to be a clash. I don't know, was it a clash of hurleys or was it a hurley on the body when Brian Ramsey went to catch the ball? The referee is going in to consult with his umpires as to what they saw. I'd say he was. He's a bit blindsided and stuff for that in terms of what his interpretation was, but it looks as though Ramsey has taken a severe hit, and the question is whether he's going to be okay or not. I suppose just on the team lines up, I suppose Michael O'Halloran has lined out in the middle of the field with Daniel Meany. Obviously, we'd said beforehand we didn't think that Ty Deasy, he's in the full forward line, and he's inside with Alan Connolly as full forward and Robbie Cotter's in the other corner. So that's a very important full forward line this evening for the Rockies. You have Mark O'Keefe and Stephen O'Keefe, the two wing forwards, and Alan O'Callaghan named the middle of the field as centre forward.
It did look accidental. Gary Norberg, I think it was, Gary Norberg and Brian Ramsey coming together. But what did the referee think? He was closer to it. He was on the pitch. Ramsey is back up now. It'll take a lot to knock the stuffing out of him.
Yeah, I think he didn't see a whole pile. It might have been a clash. I think young Ramsey, I'd love to see a replay back of it that possibly that maybe he put his hurley to the ball and Norberg. But I think the ball is going to be thrown in, so he didn't see a whole pile of say playing the ball.
Yep. Clash ball. Erins Own have it. Can they get an equalising score? That looks good. It is good. What an excellent strike that was from Robbie O'Flynn.
Yeah, very good score. Won the ball after the ball clashing and rounded his man and over the bar. A good start for Erins Own as well.
For Robbie O'Flynn, I imagine he just couldn't wait to get back on the pitch after his All-Ireland final experience. And not just him, by the way. It was obviously a collective... what way would you describe it? A collective beating for Cork.
Yeah,
but
just look at...
all the players involved, desperate, I imagine, to get back out onto the pitch for their respective clubs.
Yeah, look on the All-Ireland final was just one of those games that you have to take on the chin and hopefully come back and recover from it.
Shea Bowen still going after all these years. Blackrock will look to test him as much as they can tonight. There was an option there to slip the ball to Mark O'Keefe. The move breaks down. It's hoovered up by James O'Carroll. Nothing too scientific about what Erins Own are doing. Just go long. Owen Murphy might break for Ramsey. That is a very fortunate break. Ramsey trying to get it up into the hand. He can't. Coakley's in there. Goal. No. Thought Ramsey was after getting the goal there, but a vital intervention by the defender.
A great save by Gavin Connolly in the goals.
Yeah, Connolly was very brave, but Blackrock got around Ramsey. It was great work from Niall Cashman and the goalkeeper, and that's a really good pass by the aforementioned Cashman. Is it to be matched by a good score by Ty Deasy? You better believe it is. Good score from him. Blackrock lead by 1.
Yeah, and another great ball from Niall Cashman, but just coming back to the play inside, Ramsey had an opportunity. Great save by Gavin Connolly to smother him. The opportunity came back out to Niall Cashman, who walked the ball up to Ty Deasy, who hit a great score.
Connolly did get something on it. Cashman got around him as well. Great combination play. Sometimes you have to go backwards to go forwards. Cashman tried to get onto it again. It's swept backwards there by Daniel Meany. Clash of the Ash. Not the first time that'll happen tonight. Coakley plays a bit of hockey there. O'Carroll gets through a gap. That's good work from O'Carroll, but he kind of runs down a blind alleyway. Cormac gets it clear. Only as far as James O'Flynn, brother of Robbie. Standing very firm was Michael O'Halloran. Erins Own recycle the ball. They have advantage now. They have the free.
Yeah, and it's good. And all over the field, the quality is very good. The standard of refereeing is excellent. Dermot Cowan on a number of occasions there where the crowd are looking for frees. He's not been intimidated one bit. He's done it all. Dermot Cowan as a referee. He's leaving the ball flow. And probably a correct decision there to Robbie O'Flynn going to collect the ball and was pulled across. So a legitimate free in. But the tempo of the game is excellent.
Owen Murphy keeps that one between the sticks. Excellent strike from Owen Murphy. 2 points apiece. Good start to the game.
And going back to last year's match, at this stage last year, Blackrock had opened up a gap, so Erins Own are very much in the game, and both teams are going at it now.
Alan O'Callaghan had picked up an injury, but he's okay now. Gavin Connolly goes long. That's a brave and brilliant catch. Trying to get there is Daniel Meany. Meany, good score.
And that was pretty simple, and it's the keeper out to Shane O'Keefe, who is a massive man. And when you look at the size of the Limerick players, Shane O'Keefe and his brother Mark on the other side, they're two great target men.
Ball goes loose. O'Keefe is free every time on the near side as we look, but they're not going to him yet. Plenty of options there. That's a little bit loose, but really well won by Alan O'Callaghan. And it's another score.
Yeah, very, very good start from Blackrock. Now that is 4 points, and it's 4 points from play. And Blackrock have settled into the game, and so have Erins Own. But Blackrock is just starting to get a grip. The two O'Keefe and Alan O'Callaghan in the half forward and are very, very prominent.
2-16 to 2-12 when these two met in the group stages last year. St Finbarrs and Charleville, by the way, the other two teams in this group. That looks a little bit speculative from Ramsey. Pressure was put on by full forward Owen Murphy. It almost paid off. Blackrock still yet to clear their lines. Ramsey can't keep his shot on target. He'll be disappointed with that because he planted the feet.
He will. And Stephen O'Keefe got away with a serious error there. Had won the ball inside and had hand passed the ball straight to Ramsey, who I think is probably playing his first game at Senior Club Championship. Might stand corrected on that and probably just pulled his shot a little bit to the left.
He's strong. That's a really good puck out if it stays in play, which it does. picked up on the run. Michael O'Halloran. He's unlucky it goes wide.
It's wide, but that's definitely a training ground move. Anyway, the two midfielders switched position, and Mark O'Keefe pulled Stephen Cronin out of his half forward line position into the centre forward and created a hole for Michael O'Halloran to run onto it.
He'll be frustrated to have missed that effort. Sam Guilfoyle has taken a bit of a knock. Should be okay. Shot coming in here from Robbie O'Flynn. And it goes over. Second point for O'Flynn.
Yeah, fantastic score. Robbie O'Flynn has started really, really well, and it's exactly what you're looking for your inter-county player to start well, and he has done that. He's got 2 magnificent scores from play. He looks very sharp. The other position is Niall Cashman is not named as centre back, but is playing wing back, and his position as centre back is taken by Cathal Cormac.
Gavin Connolly went long. Was that a foul? Referee Dermot Kerman says play on. Trying to do a bit of a trick and a flick was O'Carroll. It's robbed back by, is that Connolly? Dancing his way through. This is really good work. He's fouled. It's a free in.
Yeah, a bit unlucky there now, I'd have to say. Oisín, I think to be fair, Connolly looked really, really sharp on the ball, but it looked like the Erins zone defenders had actually smothered him, and when he threw up the ball to strike it, it looked as though they had taken it legitimately off his hurley. So I think they can feel slightly aggrieved with it. But we just saw a little glimpse of Connolly there. The minute the ball comes around him, he looks very sharp.
1-9 in this fixture last year.
He'll be getting his first score anyway. He's a tap over free on the 21-yard line.
Good score from Connolly.
It's noticeable that Michael O'Halloran is playing in the middle of the field this evening. He played corner forward most of the season, or half forward last year. But when you look at the Blackrock forwards, they look very, very strong.
Shea Bowen gives that absolutely everything. Clash of the Ash again. It's going to be swept up by Blackrock. O'Keefe has to play it and does. It's a little bit loose. Cashman is dispossessed there. Brilliantly and bravely won by Sam Guilfoyle. Has to run a bit of a gauntlet. Guilfoyle still going. Outside it goes. Tidy pass. Coakley. The free is given for a high challenge.
Yeah, high challenge, and Sam Guilfoyle, who had won the ball and was taking it through the centre, and Dermot Cowan has signalled that he got shouldered in the chest. So it was a high tackle, so probably a legitimate free going in. I'd have to say the conditioning of both Erins Zone and Blackrock is outstanding. Both teams look extremely fit, extremely strong, and I suppose Blackrock, even though they have scored 4 points from play, Erins Zone are well in this game.
Owen Murphy sticks it over, his second free of the game.
Yeah, there's 2 frees from Owen Murphy and 2 points from play for Robbie O'Flynn. Conor O'Brien, I think, has to come off here now for a blood sub. Spotted by Jimmy McAvoy, the linesman there. But I suppose, again, just to point out to patrons, there's no dressing rooms being used here tonight. Both sets of players are togged off in their on opposite sides of the pitch. The shed, as we call it here in Páirc Uí Rinn, is empty. Just the Erins Zone mentors and panellists over there, and the Blackrock lads are down at the very end here.
Jamie Ryan, who played an awful lot last year, is after coming on. He's the blood sub replacement for Conor O'Brien. An attempted kind of half volley pull from Kieran Murphy. And Aaron Zone win the free.
Yeah, a little bit unlucky there. I suppose Kieran Murphy had won the ball and it fell to the ground, and Daniel Meany, his enthusiasm, I suppose, to try and maybe get the ball off him, has not allowed him to get up, which probably was again another legitimate free. But
I remember a similar incident happening in a junior game in Louth that a friend of mine was playing in, and the ref got a shout from him. He said, "This isn't Buckaroo." Owen Murphy.
And he's converted the opportunity.
That's outstanding.
So it's 5 points all at this stage, 12 minutes gone, and very evenly poised.
Just looking at Sam Guilfoyle, he's tall and he's physical. Is there a worry that Cork people might obsess on tall, physical players in the club championship this year, looking for the answer to beat Limerick next year? Because that was the big question after the All-Ireland final, wasn't it?
Yeah,
physically, do Cork have it? I don't think it's just down to one thing. I just think it was just one of those aberrations, and if they were to play that game the next day, Cork would be better. Would they beat Limerick? Who knows? But they'd definitely have been better.
Yeah,
we know a thing or two about shell shock and All-Ireland final in Waterford. That's a really long effort, but it doesn't go over. Came from the stick of Daniel Meany.
I think that might be Blackrock's first wide. I think Cathal Cormac, off his left-hand side.
Could be in behind here. Owen Murphy. First goal of the championship for Erin's Own, and it's a belter from Owen Murphy.
Yeah, the Bear Murphy, fantastic goal. No better man at the edge of the square to receive it. He got a great pass. I don't know, was it Brian Ramsey or was it Robbie O'Flynn that passed it? But a one from a puck out from Shea Bohn. Again, I'd say probably a training ground move. An excellent goal for Erin's Own, who've gone into the lead for the first time.
Well, it just goes to show you'll be punished doubly if you miss shots in this game. Blackrock missed a shot, which I said was Daniel Meany. It wasn't actually Daniel Meany, but from the puck out, Bohn went long. And seconds later, the ball was in the net.
Robbie O'Flynn.
Lovely layoff. And Owen Murphy absolutely burying it. Robbie Cotter, we haven't seen too much of him in this game. He's stuck to there by Alan Moynihan. Cotter still can't get it into the hand. And it will be a clash ball.
Well, there's going to be no repeat last year of the first period of first half of last year where Blackrock had totally dominated the game and got into an 8 or 10 point lead. Erin's Own are banging this game and they're leading 1-5 to 5 points. It's a fantastic performance from both teams at this moment in time.
That goal will have given Erin's Own a big boost. And now it's a line ball to Blackrock, which will be struck by Tyke Deasy.
And going back to last year's, I think it was it the county final where he struck a line ball from the opposite side of the field off his left-hand side straight over the bar.
Day.
It was incredible, fantastic score. So
as well.
He's on the correct side at the moment for a fellow who strikes off his left.
DC. That's a really good catch. And a very good finish. Mark O'Keefe.
So, yeah, I think that was Robbie Cotter that scored that point. And he's had a very good season with the Cork under 20s this year. And had a fantastic season last year as well with Blackrock.
Good score by Robbie Cotter. Cashman. Daniel Meany. Connolly is the target. It won't go to Connolly. Really good battling by Cian O'Connor over on that far side as we look. And he's won the free out.
Yeah, a real tiger, and I mentioned it before the game that he had a great season last year, and so far he's continuing on that. DC had the first play of it. Ball bounced lovely for him, failed to control it. Cian O'Connor got a small sniff of it, knocked it away from him, and coming out has been fouled and a correct call by Diarmaid Cowan.
Bohn. I might sound silly, but he might fancy a point from this.
Whatever slight breeze is with him, he has it, and he has a massive smack off a ball.
I think it's going to drop, and it's going to drop dangerously. It's batted away. Trying to get it into the hand there was Coakley. Really good block. He'll get a second bite of the cherry. O'Carroll. He didn't mean to go low, but it might work out. It's Murphy. Owen Murphy now. Great save by Connolly.
Brilliant. Nicky Quaid-esque, I suppose, and Seamus Hannity a number of years ago when Murph, the Bear, threw up the ball and Connolly got a great flick. But I tell you this much, Erin's Own are giving a unbelievable, that's not an unbelievable, that's wrong to say unbelievable, but a massive performance tonight against the county champions so far.
Water break coming up. I think both teams will need it after what they've given so far. It is a free out which will be taken by Gavin Connolly, who has made 2 fine saves, and there wasn't much he could do about the goal he conceded from Owen Murphy. I thought Murphy was about to get another one there. Where is this going to break? It breaks kindly for the East Cork men. Just about East Cork, but very much East Cork. O'Keefe drifts to the left of the city end goals and goes wide, a third wide for Blackrock.
Yeah, I think it just drifted wide. It was probably a loose clearance from Shane O'Keefe that was going out to James O'Callaghan and got intercepted. Bit unlucky there. I suppose you need a few breaks and stuff like that, but I think the score is 1-5 to 6 points at this moment in time.
That's correct, yep.
And nothing in the game, very, very even. But I'd have to say I'm taken by the pace of the game, the physicality in the game. It's outstanding on both sides, and the The game has been really complemented by Diarmuid Kerwin's officiating as well. Neither team can have any argument with the referee at the moment. Both teams are going at it hammers and tongs. It is a good standard. I think both sets of mentals. I think if you're in the Erins Own camp right now, you're pretty happy. You're saying to yourself, listen, this time last year, we could have been packing our bags and going home. We're actually leading here. And we've had maybe two other goal opportunities that we could have scored. Obviously, then, if you're in the Blackrock camp, you're probably saying to yourself, we had a very good start. The first 4 points came from play. It seemed like it was business as usual, but give credit to Erins Own. They have worked their way back into this game, and I think we're going to be treated to a fantastic game so far.
The points for Blackrock coming from Ty Deasy, Alan Connolly, Mark O'Keefe, Robbie Cotter all on the scoreboard. Owen Murphy has got 3 frees and a goal for Erins Own. Robbie O'Flynn has popped over 2 points. As Mark Landers has been saying, it is quite the game.
I suppose one thing to feature there at the moment, I suppose, is that there probably has been 4 different scorers for the Blackrock side, whereas there only been 2 scorers on the Erins Own side. So that is something that the Erins Own will be looking to, if they can increase and get another couple of forwards on the scoreboard, would be very, very important. Blackrock, the forward line, they have a very, very good forward line, and I would expect a few more scores to come from them as the course of the game goes on.
Well, I'm sure St Finbarrs and Charleville are watching on with great interest, because those are the other 2 teams in this group. They meet tomorrow in Mallow, by the way. And with Finbarrs, they'll want to bounce back from what was a disappointing season last year. They're better than what they showed there. Alan O'Callaghan, he's looking for, is that Cotter who's chasing after it?
Yeah,
can't keep it in play.
Yeah, sprayed a great ball now, to be fair, and it gave him a great opportunity, but just ran out of runway.
Lenihan, they like those skipping balls down the wing, don't they? Didn't work out on this occasion, or did it? Well, it did, in the sense that the pressure was really put on by Sam Guilfoyle, and he's won the line ball.
Yeah, I don't know. The linesman is giving it to, I don't know, what is he giving it to Blackrock, or is he giving it?
No, he's giving it to Erins Own.
Yeah, to me it looked as though the Sam Guilfoyle knocked it out over the sideline, but maybe he didn't. Well, according to the linesman, he didn't anyway.
Yep. Erins Own won't correct him. It's a trickler. Guilfoyle still going. Goes to ground, gets no free. John Cashman with the hand pass. Niall Cashman with the clearance, but only as far as Colm Coakley, who sticks it over. Every mistake that Blackrock have made has been punished, with the exception of that shot from Ramsey that went wide. But mostly, Blackrock have suffered when they've made mistakes.
Yeah, loose clearance there from Niall Cashman, who has contributed 2 points earlier on to Blackrock, but Colm Coakley didn't break stride, won the ball and slapped it over off his left.
Cotter couldn't win it cleanly. Connolly couldn't win it on the second attempt. Still there. Here's Coakley.
He's been a magnificent servant for Erins Own, Coakley, in the middle of the field.
There are certain clubs, they're just good battlers. I think Erins Own are very much in that category. Lovely sidestepping again from Guilfoyle, and he wins the free.
Well, the major thing with Erins Own, Oisín, is that, in comparison to Blackrock, is that Blackrock have had huge success on underage, but at minor and 20, as previously stated, whereas Erins Own wouldn't have had that massive a success. A lot of this team is built on a team back, we'd say, with Kieran Murphy and stuff for that. Shea Bowen, Owen Murphy, who've been around an awful long time, and the lads that have come through, the younger lads on the Erins Own team, wouldn't have had a massive amount of success at underage level. So there's a big it is fantastic that the club is able to maintain and keep and are massively competitive at senior level without having a huge amount of honours at underage level.
Charleville very much the outlier in this particular group in a geography sense. They're way up the north of the county on that Limerick border. Everyone else is relatively close to each other. The Bars and the city, obviously. Blackrock not too far from here. Erins Own just out the road.
Yes, and in a very tough group, having won the intermediate grade last year, or senior A last year, and being promoted, beating Father O'Neill's in a massive county final. There was a hurricane there the same day, and they reeled in Father O'Neill's on that night. And they've had some very good performances. They played the Glendale a couple of years ago out in Mallow. That'll be a tough game tomorrow for the Bars.
It will be an interesting one. Kieran Murphy, again they win a line ball.
Yeah, like just looking at the on the Blackrock forward line, I mean, you have the three forwards on the inside line now are playing in a straight line. They're not in a conventional way, so it looks as though they're going to be spreading the ball into both corners. That seems to be a tactic that's there.
Kieran Murphy telling players to get in there, then goes short. A case of Bambi on ice there for Robbie O'Flynn. The shot is that from Kieran Murphy from a very tight angle, right in front of the shed. He was practically in the shed, but it didn't matter to him. He popped it over, his first of the game. 5 points is the gap.
Yeah, there's a first time there's been a stretch in the scoreline, and a great play by Kieran Murphy. And I would mention at the half-time break or the quarter break that they needed more players to get on the scoreline, and they have 2 new players in Coke and Murphy.
Mark O'Keefe, this is much better from Blackrock. And he finishes the move. Good score from him.
And a score that was badly needed again. Another ball from Niall Cashman straight into Mark O'Keefe. He took on the ball and made sure of it and knocked it over the bar.
O'Keefe's third of the game. Lenihan looking for Guilfoyle, who's beaten to it. That's a zippy ball back to the keeper from Stephen Murphy. Connolly delivers it to Niall Cashman, I beg your pardon. Connolly tries to meet it. Aaron's own of a man stuck to him. And again, brilliant defending. Connolly hasn't given up on this one, trying to get away from the fullback, Cormac Dooley. Good work from Connolly. O'Keefe, well, it just fell short. It's like a game of pinball there at the moment. It's ran out of play by James O'Flynn. And it's a Blackrock ball. Yeah,
a little bit unlucky now. Fantastic challenging there from James O'Flynn, who looks really, really fit as well. A player that was excellent in the championship last year, and a player that certainly is on the radar from a Cork-Sina point of view. He spoke about size and pace earlier on, and he's certainly he could have something to offer from a Cork perspective.
Speaking of Cork senior talent, lots of it on display tomorrow night. Glen Rovers taking on Douglas. That's live on the Irish Examiner Sport YouTube channel. You can get the link across all of our social media channels and the Irish Examiner website. Niall Cashman standing over the line ball. Alan Connolly looked like he was down for a second. He's up again. He's okay. Doesn't catch it right, but it might still work out. That's a really good touch. Looks to get his strike away and does. Michael O'Halloran, good score.
Yeah, fantastic score from the captain. A score that's badly needed from Blackrock as well. His touch was excellent, and he whipped it over off his right-hand side over his shoulder. Great score.
What a catch that is from Robbie O'Flynn.
And a magnificent response from Erins' own. Robbie O'Flynn with his third point of the game. Won it clean out of the air himself. He's giving Conor O'Brien a fairly rough going over at this moment in time. Will Blackrock be looking at maybe moving Stephen Murphy on him?
That's a great catch. Blackrock beginning to thunder into this one. And it's a free in. Good running there from the full forward Shane O'Keefe.
Yeah, both Shane and Mark O'Keefe give you great outlets, Oisín, on from puck outs and from play. I mean, they're fantastic under the ball. They're rarely beaten. And more often than not, when they get the ball, Blackrock have runners coming off their shoulder, and the guys aren't cautious. They leave it off to the man in a better position. They know that a big part of their game is their physicality and their aerial ability to get possession. It's a big part of their game.
Connolly has an unusual build-up, but it generally works.
No mistake here from Alan Connolly. Yeah, and I suppose in general play he's quiet at this moment in time, but I feel that though Blackrock are playing an awful lot of ball into both corners. They're not really feeding Connolly, who's playing it full forward.
Goes over O'Flynn, might come to Guilfoyle, might come back to O'Flynn, breaks kindly. Has a little look up. Good catch by Alan O'Callaghan. O'Callaghan pops it forward. He was looking for Daniel Meany. Meany bearing in on goal. Meany! What a finish by Daniel Meany!
And the funny thing is that Connolly had stayed out the field having taken the free. The ball broke from the puck out from Shea Bohn. Connolly went on a run, mazy run, popped it in. Meany took it on, and in fairness to him, he finished a mighty goal to the net for Blackrock.
he doesn't just get scores, Alan Connolly. He knows where to position himself to get the ball and cause problems for opposition. Speaking of causing problems, Robbie O'Flynn causing a lot of problems for Blackrock. He's got another fine score.
Well, that's just the response you want from your tallies, man. Blackrock go down the field, got a magnificent goal, straight from the puck out. Flynn gets on the ball, throws it over the shoulder, and again, he's after getting his 4 points from play. And we do have, I think he's gone to centre forward at this stage. I said the Blackrock backs are changing intermittently on him.
It breaks kindly for O'Callaghan. Putting the pressure on him is James O'Carroll. That's really well gathered. Will it be really well finished by Cotter? Just about, but they all count. Good score from Cotter, his second.
It's gone over. Alan O'Callaghan won it again and recycled the ball well. The Blackrock players are well coached and not hitting Hail Mary shots from the corner and stuff like that. They're funneling the ball back to the players in a better position.
It's a belter.
Massive. It's fantastic. Brilliant opening game for the Cork County Senior Hurling Championship.
Are we about to see another fine score? No, we're not, but the free-in has been given. Advantage is being played. Robbie O'Flynn missed it. He was actually frustrated. Whether or not he knew he had the free, I don't know. But
I don't think he
wanted to score. All forwards want to score.
He was disappointed that the ball had went wide, and we could see his reaction as well when he knew that the ball had drifted wide.
We could hear it as well.
We could, but as a championship player, when you hear the whistle going straight afterwards, and you know that you have a free, now to credit the Blackrock, Conor Mack, I think he did get a tip on his hurley to give him a slight hook. But the big thing is that Erins zone, and after getting the point from the resultant free, and the Bear Murphy moves to a goal and 4 points.
He's having a fine game. Connolly, first class delivery and a really good take. Excellent stuff. Stephen Murphy sent it to Meany. Meany could have taken his point. That's O'Callaghan. O'Callaghan slots it over.
Yeah.
Not an easy one to score because he was absolutely surrounded. He had to shorten the grip and get a strong enough strike on it, and he did.
He did, but I mean, it just showed the intent of Blackrock that Meany wasn't happy enough. He could have taken an easy point himself, but he felt there was an opportunity of a goal, and he knocked it into O'Callaghan. Fair credit to the Erin's own defenders. They got around him immediately and forced him to take the point. I think the scores are nearly all level now at this stage. And, Erin's own, it was only 3 or 4 minutes ago, they were 5 points up, so credit the county champions back level, but it's a fantastic advertisement for Cork Hurling.
We're coming up on half time, but honestly, I don't want this game to stop.
Yeah, we've an injury to a player, and I think it could actually be Alan O'Callaghan. Alan O'Callaghan himself, the guy who got the score there. He
was brave in getting that score because he knew he was probably, the way he struck it, he knew he was probably going to get a hit. Not a bad one or anything like that. Actually, I think he more fell awkwardly more than anything else.
He slipped, and it looks like his ankle. He was holding his ankle, I think, when he went down. But it might be just only a slight strain and stuff like that. I doubt that that'll keep him out of the game that long.
They leave him in at full forward for a minute or two, maybe until half time. Not that full forwards don't do any running, but he'll do less running. Ball almost falling for Coakley there. Erins zone having given up on it. It squirts out. A wild pull from John Cashman, but it is Robbie O'Flynn. Another save from Connolly. And the follow-up was good as well, and he doubled it out to Stephen Murphy. Connolly tries to get there and can't. Cut out really well by Moynihan. Now with the full-back Cormac Dooley. Dooley lets it slip. O'Callaghan is running after it. He's moving kind of gingerly after that injury, and he doesn't strike it right, and he's still struggling a little bit, but still he works hard. Still he pressurises Dooley. Very good take. Good work from James O'Flynn. Trying to intercept and cut it out was John Cashman. Sam Guilfoyle will try and keep this one alive. He's got a teammate with him. Is that Murphy? It is Owen Murphy. Murphy tries to get up off the ground. What's the ref's decision?
I say he's probably going to throw it in. I would say it looked as though he had been fouled, to be honest, but the referee hadn't awarded a free. He's going to put somebody in the book now, I'd say, potentially for a bit of verbals, I would expect. I think this Kieran Murphy is going into the book, and that's something that the Erins zone could do without now, because he wasn't really majorly involved in the play. He's probably giving out that he didn't get a free.
It looks like it's a yellow card for Kieran Murphy.
Yeah, I'd say verbals, I would say, more than likely. It looked a little bit like John Cashman had chopped down on had chopped down on the Bear Murphy, and probably Erins own. Yeah, Kieran Murphy smacked the ground in disgust.
I don't think the groundsman will be too happy with him. We could see it when he did it, the dirt flying up on what is a perfect surface, by the way.
Perfect surface, and just you mentioned it there, our good friend Tommy Lynch had passed away since the last time the championship, and he'd be thrilled to see the field, and that he minded here for 30 or 40 or 50 years.
Such a nice man, Tommy.
Tommy is absolutely
a great
fantastic.
Character, a funny man.
Great friend to the players and mentors and clubs and everybody coming in here.
And I remember as a media man, he didn't suffer fools, but when you got to know him, he was just such a great fella. Shot comes in from Colm Coakley. It's blocked down, or is it? No, it's not. It goes over. The pillar is in my way. Occasionally, it makes seeing things difficult. But the only thing that matters from the Erins own point of view is they have the point. I think it was Coakley who got it in the end, was it?
I don't know. Is it over? I think the umpire actually waved the ball wide, and Diarmaid Kerwin is going to the sideline now. I don't know, is he speaking with the mentors for Erins own, or is he speaking to the linesman? But I think the point wasn't awarded. Erins own was shouting that it was over, but the umpire has waved it wide, I think. So
okay, no
I don't
score.
think there's any score, Oisín.
The Coakley shot came from a very tight corner.
Yeah,
and it was waved wide. Yeah. Good block by Guilfoyle. Falls for James O'Flynn. He lets it go, then tries to sweep it back up. Guilfoyle goes in to try and dig him out. Blackrock have it through O'Keefe. O'Keefe absolutely tormented, but wins it back. Needs to get that ball away. Steps say the Erins own crowd. Blackrock get it back and then loses it again.
Yeah, but that's fantastic tackling by the Erins own players, Sam Guilfoyle and Kieran Murphy in particular. Mark O'Keefe had won the ball, had turned one way, turned the other way. The Erins own players kept turning him back. Robbie O'Flynn picked up the ball and has been fouled, and an easy opportunity for the Bear Murphy to put Erins own ahead before half time.
John Cashman walks away frustrated. A tremendous game. Murphy. He's got some fine points from frees tonight already, but I think that tops the lot.
Yeah, 1-5 has been unerring and a fantastic goal.
Do Blackrock have a response? O'Callaghan. That is a response.
Now, quality, the highest standard now. The striking has been fantastic on both sides. The skill level has been fantastic. And the physicality has been fantastic on both sides. It's a fantastic game here this evening.
Half-time whistle blows, 1-12 apiece. An absolute scorcher of a game on the opening night of the Co-op Superstores Premier Senior Hurling Championship. St Finbarrs and Charleville meeting in this group tomorrow in Mallow. Tomorrow live on the Irish Examiner social media channels, we've got Glen Rovers and Douglas, and they have some job to do to match up to the first half of this game. Mark, it's been tremendously enjoyable.
I think the important thing and the first thing to point out, I suppose, is this is the first hurling match of the championship across all grades, and it's a fantastic opening, and magnificent that the Examiner are live streaming this evening for a lot of patrons around the county and further afield as well, because we always hear about the people who are not here, the diaspora in the UK and America, from both clubs here this evening, who are able to link in and see the good quality game that we're seeing here this evening. So the Examiner must be credited and the county board for being able to produce it. Just coming back to the game, I suppose, Oisín, it's a great advertisement for Cork hurling tonight. We wondered, I suppose, after the All-Ireland final, we were all in the dregs, I suppose, for a week. Really disappointed with the performance in the final. But I suppose when you look at and Colite today, you'd have taken it at the start of the year to be in the senior All-Ireland final. But I think Daniel Carney said it during the week, and Cian O'Connor from Erins own both said it, that there's a buzz around Cork hurling at this moment in time. And I think that will actually come through into the club championship this year at all grades as well. So, this is a fantastic start. Having the county champions, obviously, first up, everybody will be looking at them. And, Erins own, this time last year, they were significantly down. They find themselves at level scores at that time. Now, I will say the wind has picked up during the course of the first half. Blackrock will have that in the second half. But so far, we have a very, very level game. we've had a lot of opportunities, I would say, for Erins' own. Gavin Connolly has been the busier of the keepers. Shea Bohn really hasn't had a goal to stop, but Gavin Connolly has been hugely involved in the first half.
We've got a message in via Twitter from @JustPMac. He says, Cian O'Connor and Kieran Murphy playing for Erin's Own tonight. 20 years to the day when they won the minor All-Ireland with Cork. Tomas O'Leary also on that team. Went on, obviously, to play for Munster. What servants they have
unbelievable.
been. And you'd never think, and I mean this is a compliment, to look at them out there tonight, you'd never think they were that old.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't, but I think the Cian O'Connor that he's speaking about could be a different Cian O'Connor.
I thought so,
But certainly the hero Murphy and maybe Shea Bohn, but like the likes of Stephen Cronin at half back there has given, and Massey Carroll, they have given fantastic service to Erin's Own, and it's a great tribute to them that they're still playing. I've often marked Cian Murphy, and he's very, very competitive and a grand fella off the field. But by God, when you're playing on the field, he does nothing but Erin's Own winning, and he will do anything in his power to get Erin's Own across the line. Because coming back to the game this evening, I suppose it's a massive game at this moment in time. And the crowds are here, which is very, very important as well. And I'd say the players miss the crowds as well, and their own spectators and stuff like that. So it's great. There's a whole new brand going on here now at this moment in time, and it's fantastic to be here this evening to witness it.
Well, the players have a break at the moment, so we're going to take one as well. You'll see the pictures, you might not hear the sound, but we will be back for the second half. It's a very short turnaround at the moment at half time, because players and referees and all that, they don't like hanging around because they have to stand out on the pitch. Although it's not that cold tonight, it is a lovely evening in Cork. It's the opening night of the Coop Superstores Premier Senior Hurling Championship, and what a fixture we have to lead things out. 1-12 apiece at half time. Not the only hurling match over the weekend, of course. Lots coming over the next couple of days, including Douglas against Glen Rovers. That'll be live through the Irish Examiner tomorrow, and of course they'll keep you up to date with everything else that's happening in the Cork Senior Hurling Championship, all the football matches and everything else that you need to know in sport, including Cork City and Cove Ramblers games, which are going on tonight. You can keep up with all of that on the Irish Examiner, be it via the paper or via the website or via the social media channels. We're going to take a quick break. As I say, you'll see the pictures, you mightn't hear the sound. Half time, Blackrock, the county champions, 1-12. Erin's Own, the semi-finalists last year, 1-12. We'll be back with second half commentary. Welcome back to Páirc Uí Rinn for the second half of the Co-op Superstores Premier Senior Hurling Championship encounter of Blackrock and Erins Own. As you can see, it has been a belter so far. Owen Murphy with an excellent goal for Erins Own. I was about to say reeling back the years, but he's never dropped his level, Owen Murphy. The goal for Blackrock coming from Daniel Amini. What do you expect in the second half, Mark Landers?
Well, I'm expecting I'm expecting a similar performance on both teams. There's no player flagging at this moment in time. Both teams look very, very fit. I'm expecting that the full forward line for Blackrock, who are well marshalled, I'd have to say, by the full back from Erins Own. I'm hoping to see, that they may get a bit more extra ball, but I'd have to give great credit to the Erins Own full back. Then they're outstanding.
One change to the teams at the break. Blackrock unchanged for Erins Own. Brian Ramsey has gone off and he's been replaced by Barry Murphy. Cormac trying to find a way. That's a really good pass. It just slipped out of the hands of O'Keefe. Cian O'Connor lets it go and James O'Carroll secures possession, but he is being absolutely harassed. He's won the free out though.
Yeah, and in fairness to Diarmuid Cowan, he did give him the opportunity when he was coming out with the ball. It looked like he was being fouled, but he left the play develop, which is good refereeing.
Robbie O'Flynn touches it down. Sam Guilfoyle squirts it out. O'Flynn runs back onto it. Gathers. Really good block. Might get a second go here, O'Flynn. Trying to keep his composure. He threw it and it's a free out.
Yeah, but great flick by John Cashman there. Robbie Flynn bearing down on the ball, on the goal. Threw it up off his left hand side and a great flick by Cashman to avert the danger.
Alan O'Callaghan is making a break just in front of us. He's free at the moment. Backtracking is Kieran Murphy. Connolly doesn't go to him. It goes shortish to Cormac. That's loose and it's intercepted brilliantly by Coakley. Murphy. He's so strong. Blackrock have an extra player back there and they make it count. Flicked out cleverly by John Cashman. Niall Cashman. Connolly might want it. It wasn't taken by him. Maybe Robbie Cotter should have let it go. Not sure if Connolly gave him a shout. Sam Guilfoyle is the target. Great interception. Brilliant work by John Cashman. Back to Cashman from fullback Gary Norberg. Both players have an extra defender at the moment. Erins Own sweep it up. Looked like there was a foul committed there, I think, by Shane O'Keefe. He's hand on the back of the defender, but the referee let it go. Cian O'Connor. Murphy loses out to Cormac. It'll be some score if it goes over from Norberg. It goes all the way over. Brilliant stuff from fullback Gary Norberg.
Well, that is a fantastic score by Norberg. I hope he won't mind me saying it, but I don't think I've ever seen him scoring a point before. He certainly didn't get one in the championship last year, but that was a massive score by Norberg, who had a fantastic year of fullback for Blackrock last year.
Guilfoyle battling first. Stuck to him is John Cashman. They're having a right battle, those two. And a few others besides. New man in, Barry Murphy also battling for it. I think that's Guilfoyle who's stealing away with this. Murphy's in the centre, but he's covered. Guilfoyle, good pass. And a good shot and a good point from Maurice O'Carroll.
Yeah, good swallow up by the Blackrock defender. Swallow Sam Guilfoyle on the way through. But he did well to offload the ball back to Massey O'Carroll, who got a just reward. He got a point from it.
Strong connections to Limerick for O'Carroll. Guilfoyle won that one well. Barry Murphy battled for it to help create the point. Blackrock go direct towards Connolly. Cashman, or I beg your pardon, Callahan can't get there. Now desperately trying to get it back into hand is Michael O'Halloran. Barry Murphy steals it and clears it. Gathered by the Bear. Just let it go. Robbie O'Flynn doing some hard work along with Kieran Murphy, but
Norberg again at full back. Very, very competitive. An excellent full back, in fairness. And game is nicely poised now at the moment. It's very competitive. And Connolly is coming from a long ways back here. He's coming back to his own half-back line. And in general, he's been quiet tonight in comparison to his performance last year. But I think they need a faster ball into the full forward line to make it pay.
Well, there's only one reason why Connolly has come back this far. He fancies a go. It certainly has the distance. And it's gone wide.
A bit unsure.
I heard it well done, Alan.
Yeah.
I have to say.
Certainly there was a bit of confusion between it, but there's none of the Blackrock players, claiming it was a point, so we'll have to
goes down as
assume
a wide.
it's a wide.
Breaks towards Guilfoyle, just couldn't make it stick. Kieran Murphy will need a new hurley. O'Callaghan tries to get under that. That is a brilliant catch. And he's unlucky with the shot. It's another wide for Blackrock.
But Alan O'Callaghan is having a fine game as centre forward for Blackrock. He's on the score sheet for 2 points, but he's winning a lot of possession, and he's having a real good competitive battle with James O'Flynn at centre back.
I mean, that was a massive win to catch a ball like that with O'Flynn stuck to him. Runs loose, comes to Erins' own. Cronin. O'Carroll still going. It's a crowded centre at the moment. Cronin thought about having a shot, but he was closed down. Murphy. That was a really good pass. Will it be met by a very good finish by Cathal Lenihan? Yes, it is. Excellent score from Cathal Lenihan, but it was a brilliant pass to him.
From the Kieran Murphy, funneled the ball back really well, very patient. No shooting from funny angles and stuff like that, and got the best person in the best position on the ball. Good score from Erins' own.
Connolly, one between them. Chasing after it is O'Callaghan. He's going to be beaten to it by Cronin, but he will keep the pressure on Cronin. Moynihan. O'Flynn, great turn, rolled his man very well. It's opening up for O'Flynn. He'll take it on, and he will get it.
And that's a magnificent score from Robbie O'Flynn. But it was the skill he showed when the ball bounced, and he was able to flick it to himself. And the minute he turned his man, he turned on the afterburners, and he was gone from Cathal Cormac and scored a great point from distance into the breeze. Really, really good performance from Flynn, who seems to be playing in a second centre forward position at this moment in time. Erins' own is just playing with two inside. The Bear Murphy is one of them, and Massey Carroll is the other. And Flynn is playing as a second centre forward beside Guilfoyle.
A win tonight doesn't guarantee you anything but a good start. However, you would imagine that 2 wins would be enough to get through. Of course, group winners go automatically into a semi-final, and then it's quarter-finals for those who finish second.
And just as we get a break in play there at the moment, I think we incorrectly named the linesman beforehand as one of the Larkins. I think it's Colin Vaughan who's on this side of us, some Killamatra as the linesman on our side of the field here in the second half.
Murphy. Shane O'Keefe puts it wide. Clash of the Ash. Stephen Murphy again. Away it goes from Niall Cashman.
Ty Deasy finds himself out in the middle of the field here now at this stage, having
And
started
loses
the corner
possession,
forward.
yeah. Barry Og Murphy kind of fresh aired it. Murphy's in there to try and win it. That's Kieran Murphy. Barry Og Murphy gets on it. James O'Flynn. Keeper is going to win the race to that. John Cashman. Doesn't just smack it, delivers it. But it's pickpocketed by Erins' own. Barry Og Murphy was there and free. He wanted it. Instead it goes to Kieran Murphy. That doesn't have the legs and will go wide anyway.
Yeah, the game has just gone a little bit scrappy since the half-time break. I noticed early in the second half, But certainly there's no such thing as a position in this field at the moment. It looks as though Páirc Uí Rinn again, Blackrock have brought him out and they're playing with a 2-man inside line.
Cronin tidies up under real pressure from Mark O'Keefe, who fouls him, and it's a free out.
Yeah. So you have Connolly and Cotter inside in the full forward line, and you have DC out in the half forward line. So it looks as though Blackrock are playing 4 in the half forward line, and Erins are also playing 4 in the half forward line. That's a new tactic.
I'm sure yourself and Daly will debate the merits of it on Monday.
We certainly will. I was actually down
3 in the full forward line and let it in. That's hurling. That's all hurling should be. Bohn.
I think you'd be out of a job if you suggested that now to anybody.
That's certainly correct. O'Carroll. Good ball from Massey out to Barry Oak Murphy. He loses it. And Blackrock run it out. They've done well to win ball in the back line. What they haven't done is transferred it well to the forwards. And again, Erins own, turn it over and go long. Cathal Lenihan just couldn't get it into his hand. The referee from a long way out blows the whistle, and I think he'll go for a clash ball. They're in that corner of the ground that's very hard to see for us from this distance away.
Yeah, it is very noticeable over on the far side of the field there, Oisín, that the Erins own mentors were very close to the action. They were very boisterous in their appreciation of their players winning the ball back when Páirc Uí Rinn had the ball in his hand.
O'Callaghan comes to meet it. That's a backs ball all day long, but it's possibly Connolly who's stealing here. Nope, loses out Stephen Cronin. Bohn. Some height on that one. That'll sting the hand, but it is Guilfoyle. He's got a long way to travel. He kind of more or less runs into Gary Norberg and wins the free.
Yeah, and just off camera now, Mark O'Keefe has gone into the full forward line with Alan Connolly, but what Erins has done is that Stephen Cronin has gone back with him. So Erins are deploying a man-to-man situation, and Robbie Cotter has come out the field and Cian O'Connor has come with him. So Erins are applying a tactic that they're going man-on-man wherever their players, wherever the Blackrock forwards are going. They have a man licensed to mark him, and he's going with him wherever it is.
And David O'Farrell is about to come in for Blackrock. Erins own by 2, make that 3. Another one for Owen Murphy. Just looking around to see who David O'Farrell is coming in for.
Michael O'Halloran, I'd say.
That's correct.
Yeah, Michael O'Halloran, probably better known as a forward heretofore. This is probably his first season playing in the middle of the field, and he's the first substitution for Blackrock this evening.
Connolly. A game that flew in the first half but has stuttered in the second. O'Farrell, his first impact, and what an impact it is.
Yeah, fantastic score. Mark O'Keefe went up under the high ball. Ball broke to Dave O'Farrell. First touch. Delighted, that's a great start for him.
Blackrock substitution. Number 12, Michael O'Halloran, has been replaced by number 21, David O'Farrell.
Cathal Lenihan tried to bend his back and get to that one. I think the referee will have to go for the clash ball. That's some pull. Misses O'Callaghan. James O'Flynn gets there. O'Flynn runs into a corner and gives it away to O'Keefe. Mark O'Keefe has stepped out of play. He doesn't protest at all. I think I thought he might say, well, my feet went out of play, but the ball didn't. But no, it's a line ball to Erins.
Yeah, correct decision there. And it's very, very noticeable. And I said this just after half time that there was no drop off in the pace from either teams. But certainly Erins own have made a better start to the second half, playing against whatever slight breezes there. Sam Gilvoyle is really making his presence felt as centre forward and having a very, very competitive battle with Cathal Cormac.
Lenihan tries to gather it. There's a real scrap on for that sliotar now. And this time it's a Blackrock ball. Oh, and a little bit of afters. Niall Cashman involved there.
As I said, it is very, very competitive. There's a keen edge to this game, and it's been well handled by Diarmaid Cowan. And this game is going to go to the wire, Oisín. And it's a huge credit to both teams. Very, very competitive. You couldn't pick a winner at this moment in time. Erins Own, I think, are slightly playing better, getting a few breaks as well, but are creating those breaks.
Hasn't been the best third quarter. We'll get the water break soon, and then maybe the teams will start to fly again. Speaking of flying, here's Robbie O'Flynn. Lenihan wants it and gets it. Oh, just couldn't keep hold of it the first time. Does get it the second time. Had Guilfoyle as a runner, couldn't get it to him. Does get it to O'Carroll. James O'Carroll at pace. Guilfoyle goes behind him. Might still be there for Erins Own. It is. It's Murphy. It's another score. Did you expect anything else when Owen Murphy got his hand on that ball?
Yeah, and they've got something out of it, which is the most important thing. But in fairness, credit Robbie O'Flynn, who saw the opportunity to go for a goal, and that shows that he was. That's always great to see a forward with his first option is to go for a goal. Owen Murphy then took the right decision when maybe the goal opportunity was gone to knock the ball over the bar.
Swept up by Barry Og Murphy. Squirts out, falls away of Cormac Dooley. Meeting it out in front there was O'Carroll. Ball into Murphy, who allows it to beat him. Murphy against Connolly here. Murphy, surely he'll get the goal. Goes to ground and gets, is it a penalty or a free? We'll find out now. It's a penalty.
Yeah, but I think Norbuck is in big trouble here. From my vantage point, I think there's a possibility that he's after pulling on Murphy down by the helmet. And I'd love to see a replay, but my first instinct is certainly it was a high tackle. There's no question about it, but it's a penalty. I'm a bit unsure about the rules actually, whether this is it only the inter-county where the free is given inside it. Does he got 10 minutes? The funny thing is the referee's gone to Gavin Connolly now to book him. He's given him a year.
You can have a look at a replay that is not coming up on the screens at home now, but you're getting a look at it. So
no, he didn't catch him, but he actually caught him around the shoulders and stuff like that. No, a yellow card will be enough, to be honest about it, but it's going to be a penalty. But again, it obviously, the Norbuck isn't gone off for the foul, or Connolly. He's inside the 21, but
well, it was a case of take your pick there. Connolly fouled him first and then Norberg took him down.
Yeah, but I suppose the big thing is that there's going to be no sin bin.
Yep.
That's the big thing here with this decision, because I don't think the decision is in for the Cup Ireland.
Well, and it's actually a free. He put his arms out.
This is incredible that he's not given a penalty.
Yeah.
He's given a 21-yard free. And I mean, it's quite obvious that he's fouled inside the 21-yard line. I'm a bit surprised at that.
They take the point and add to the lead. 4 between them with 13 left.
With two youths maybe watching the inter-county rules and there's so much talk about it. But it certainly has been a great quarter for Erins Own. 118 to 114, 4 points. The county champions are on the ropes, I suppose, at this moment in time. And you have to give great credit to Erins Own. They're pulling out of their skins. They're in a deserved lead. And this game is going to the last quarter now. It's quite obvious. The game ain't over. And what we'll see, let's see what kind of a reaction we are going to get from the county champions Blackrock now in the last quarter. It's not that their title is on the line, but if they lose this game, it puts them on the back foot, I suppose, because only 2 teams can qualify out of 4. You have the Bears and Charleville also in this group, so it's going to be a very competitive group. The Rockies came in as raging hot favourites this evening, and Erins Own has certainly thrown down the gauntlet to them. 4 points up with 15 minutes to go. I think we're in for a massive last 15 in this game.
Do Blackrock need to change things around, because Erins Own are getting the scores whereas Blackrock are struggling?
I suppose the score at half time is 112 each, so it's 6 points to 2 in the second half. So Erins Own have done an awful lot of the correct stuff, but I think Blackrock have changed an awful lot of their forwards around to try and get them into the game. But But I suppose if you're at criticism, a lot of the ball is going into the full forward line inside, is not sticking inside. Now that is down to the good play by the Erins zone defence, but you would have expected a little bit more from the inside line of Robbie Cotter and Alan Connolly and Ty Deasy. They're very, very good players, all have inter-county experience, but that doesn't matter a hoot to the Erins zone fellas. Keane O'Connor, young Moynihan, and Cormac Dooley, who has an unsung hero as well for Erins zone, goes about his business very, very efficiently. And, there's a serious statement here being made by Erins zone this evening, taking on the county champions.
And sorry, just to be absolutely clear, the rules about preventing a goal-scoring chance and getting the penalty are only applicable to inter-county. Now, I think, and I wouldn't be too hard on Jeremy Kerman, I think he put his arms out and indicated a penalty and then maybe realised. And I wouldn't judge him for that, because they're so ingrained into guys' heads now. But, batted down by the hand. Daniel Meany with a hopeful ball more than anything else. Alan Moynihan gathers and sends it down the park. Lenihan. That's one. I think that's Robbie O'Flynn. Guilfoyle is beside him in space. O'Flynn goes himself and then gives it to Guilfoyle. What a goal from Sam Guilfoyle! I don't know if it's the winner, but it's looking good for Erins zone.
Well, it is just the score you want to get at the start of the fourth quarter. Magnificent by Robbie O'Flynn. Took on the man, he got slowed down, but he offloaded to Sam, and Sam hit the roof of the net. Fantastic goal for Erins zone.
Rippled the net beautifully. It looked beautiful. Blackrock are good. They will respond. O'Callaghan. There's a bit more pace about them now. Is this to be a score to get them back up and running? It is. And a good one as well.
Yeah, and no different to the Erins zone score in the first half. When Blackrock got the goal from Daniel Meany, Robbie O'Flynn responded. Ty Deasy has responded here. And, the gauntlet has been thrown down to Blackrock now. There's a goal and 3 points in it. This game is far from over, but it's a magnificent contest. And Dermot Cowan is going to the sideline again now to speak to some of the mentors on the Erins zone side, but they won't give a hoot. They're really, really into it. I think that has been exemplified by the fact that the way the players are playing tonight, that their management are also, I suppose, feel like as if they're involved in this team. And I think, don't know who it is, we can't see from our vantage point. I suppose I need to go to Specsavers, but there's an Erins zone mentor making a long walk. I think a red card has been brandished. Probably won't see any more action tonight.
Maybe they've already seen enough. 11 minutes to go. Erins zone 218, that's 24 points. Blackrock 115, that's 18 points. Funnily enough, with Sam Guilfoyle's goal, the pass wasn't overly brilliant. It wasn't clean. He still had to kind of go backwards and flick it up awkwardly and had to finish from a very tight angle. I mean, it was a great run from Robbie O'Flynn, but Sam Guilfoyle, it wasn't an easy finish by any matter of means. Dooley. James O'Flynn. Lovely ball. Great take. Lenihan. Barry Og Murphy. It was actually Murphy, I beg your pardon, who gave it to Barry Og. I don't think he intended a dropping ball in. It almost worked out. Niall Cashman sweeps it up. Blackrock run it out. They don't need to panic and go for goals just yet. Mark O'Keefe can't win it. Erins zone have the numbers back there. And now Blackrock have a line ball. Shepherding that one out was Cathal Cormac.
Ten minutes left now in this game. And, Erins zone are in the driving seat. The major thing is they don't need to
They could do with the goal. O'Callaghan! Brilliant battling from Erins zone. But the referee has given a penalty. And this time we're absolutely sure, because the foul was committed in the square.
Well, here's a big turnaround in the game. In fairness, Alan Kellan had won the ball, bore down on goals. A good number of the Erins zone defenders were chasing him back. It looks, the referee has indicated that he was pulled to the ground. I didn't see any Blackrock player jumping around looking for a penalty, but he has awarded a penalty to Erins zone.
And it's Connolly who'll take it. This to narrow the gap back to 3. O'Callaghan was fouled. He was bumped into by James O'Flynn, who will claim it was shoulder to shoulder.
But the referee is indicating that he pulled his jersey.
Okay.
I didn't see any pull of the jersey, to be honest with it.
Well, you're getting a look at a replay here. It's not up on the screens that the viewers are seeing, but you're getting a look at it, so you can tell me.
I just noticed. Maybe the number 4. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe Moynihan.
Maybe, but we can't see it from the angle we are here. Dear McKerwan would have a better angle.
Connolly. Bohn saves. It's a 65, but that's not what they were looking for.
Well, that's probably a game-winning save, I would say, from Shane Bohn. A fantastic save.
There was a slight pull actually by Cormac Dooley just as the square was entered. Now, Stephen Cronin is having his name taken here.
Yeah, magnificent save by Shane Bohn in the goals for Erins own.
And Yellow card, Stephen Cronin.
If you ever needed, I suppose, a shot in the arm for your team to get you over the winning line, that is it.
Connolly, they want to take something from this attack, but they'll have to go again.
Yeah, the referee, in fairness, had blown his whistle before Connolly had struck it.
Substitution, number 12, Páirc and be replaced by number 25, Jerome Mahoney.
Jerome Mahoney comes in for Cathal Lenihan. 2 subs about to come in for Blackrock. Kevin O'Keefe and Kieran Cormac.
Yeah, Kieran had played in nearly all the championship matches last year for Blackrock, and Kevin O'Keefe would have been a player that would have been coming in all the time.
That's a good strike from Connolly. His team needed it. I maybe got a bit overexcited and said Sam Guilfoyle had possibly got what was a ceiling goal or a winning goal. There's still plenty of hurling left in this game.
There is, but Erins own are in the driving stage at this moment in time. And, it's great testament to Erins own that there's three of the Blackrock forwards have been replaced so far this evening. And considering Michael O'Halloran as a forward, he played in midfield, but, that's
Robbie
great
Cotter off, Mark O'Keefe off. Robbie O'Flynn, there again. He's having a tremendous night. Looked to me like Murphy's hurley was held there, Owen Murphy. Blackrock get away with it. It was a good corner back trick. Trying to get there for Blackrock is Daniel Meany. Doesn't gather it. Luckily for him, his teammate is there. This is a dangerous run. It's a smothered shot. I think it was Tyke DC who got the shot away, but Erin's own defender just threw his body on the line. There was a Dooley. Yep. Dooley clears it. Well, he doesn't clear it, but he slots a good pass and then it's cleared. There's a real foot race on for this one, and it's won brilliantly by Barry Og Murphy.
He's had a massive influence in the game since he's come on at half-time.
James O'Carroll sprays it across. Sam Guilfoyle is breaking himself to try and get there. Puts pressure on the defender, who is to go back to Connolly in goals. The dirty ball, who's going to win it? O'Carroll tried to get there. Comes to Blackrock. This is Daniel Meany, held up by Alan Moynihan. Free in Blackrock. Erin's zone of a player down.
There's 2 players down actually over the field. Colm Coakley in the middle of the field has cramp. I said Dooley is suffering. He took a belt to the sliotar when Tyke DC was going through for the goal. He threw his body, JJ Delaney, across the shot for goal and has saved it for his team. But Colm Coakley in the middle of the field is also down stretching. Getting a bit of... but all this is a help to Erin's own now for getting over the line, and it's all about getting over the line at this point. It's all about the result. This is a massive, massive performance tonight from Erin's own. They beat SARS last year. A lot of people would have thought in the general public it was a shock, but not for Erin's own. And I mentioned earlier on, they got to the county semi-final, and only for injuries, I think, on the night against the Glen, they possibly could have got to the county final. So their form is holding up excellently.
Connolly sticks it between the posts. I thought maybe he had skewed it because he kind of stepped into the shot strangely, but it worked. In or around 4 minutes to go, and unfortunately for Erin's own, they're losing Colm Coakley.
But another vastly experienced player, Sean Kelly, is coming into the fray. So Erins Own replacing one very, very experienced player with another.
They're just unbelievably hard beaten, Erins Own. This will be some group. St Finbarr's and Charleville meeting tomorrow in Mallow. And of course, live on the Irish Examiner, we've got Glen Rovers against Douglas. O'Flynn, even without a Hurley, he's effective. Here's Morris O'Carroll, Mossy as he's better known. Good save from Connolly. Daniel Meany. Thought about passing it, strikes it instead. It's a useful looking ball. Great defending from Dooley. He's just a rugged defender, isn't he? Sean Kelly. His first ball of the game is a good one. Chasing after it is Kieran Murphy. Or Mossy O'Carroll, I beg your pardon. John Cashman. Does he fancy it from there? He drops it inside. Connolly is the target. Connolly gets it. Goes to ground, loses it. O'Carroll. Sean Kelly. He was a bit casual, but he gets away with it. Kelly has a look up. Trying to pull on that there was Owen Murphy. And it is a Blackrock ball. Blackrock, there's a bit of urgency about them now. 4 between them. 24 plays 20. Blackrock will settle for the point. It was good work there from Cian O'Callaghan to win it, or I beg your pardon,
O'Keefe.
Kieran, it was Cormac to get it inside,
yes.
And then it was O'Keefe, I think, who finished it.
Yeah, back to a one-score game now, and Blackrock, you know, they've got it to within one score now. There's 58, I think, on the clock at the moment, and they probably will be 4 or 5 minutes injury time. I'd expect that this game is far from over.
O'Flynn couldn't quite make it stick. Has it now, though. He's bottled up, keeps his composure, looking for Murphy. Murphy, despite the attention he's getting, gets the possession. Doesn't get the free. But they do have a line ball, Erins Own.
Yeah, it's fierce entertaining, Oisín. Great to be here to watch it live as well. And great for the patrons at home, I suppose, wherever you're watching in, to be able to see the live stream this evening and witnessing a fantastic performance from both teams. Erins Own is still a goal. This game is far from over, but Erins Own are certainly in the driving seat at the moment.
Kieran Murphy about to take the line ball. Just to absolutely be 100% clear, it was O'Keefe who got that last score for Blackrock. It was set up by Cormac, as we said, but the shot came from a crowd, so I wasn't 100% sure. Just double checked it was O'Keefe. Blackrock have the possession. But that's not a good ball, and it's easily intercepted by James O'Flynn. O'Flynn will go for this one from right out the country. And it drops wide at the city end.
Something that they don't want now. They don't want to be giving Gavin Connolly an opportunity for a free puck out now. He should have played it in like.
3 between them. Cormac's in there. He's a big man. Gets his hand on it. Couldn't gather it on the second attempt. Now he has it. Clever ball to Daniel Meany. And Meany makes it a 2-point game.
Yeah, and this is a really fantastic last quarter now from Blackrock. They have reeled it back into 2 points. Anything could happen at this stage.
And it can end in a draw because it's a group stage format in the opening few rounds of the Coop Superstores Premier Senior Hurling Championship. Blackrock have won the possession again.
Meany. Daniel Meany is having a very, very good game, as is Niall Cashman. The 2 lads with the white helmets. I don't think they had white helmets last year, but they both hurl off the left-hand side.
Niall Cashman launches that one. Bohn, safe as houses.
Drop into the hero Murphy.
That's a good take. Robbie O'Flynn, Guilfoyle. Guilfoyle showing his pace. Guilfoyle trying to escape the clutches of the defence. That's a poor hand pass. Easy to say from here, but probably should have just popped it over. Here's Daniel Meany. He's dropping it in rather than going for a point. Bohn again is there.
There's 2 balls that have dropped in under the crossbar now for Blackrock. Safely held by Shea Bohn in goals. On this occasion, the ball is going to come back in for a line. His clearance went out over the line.
I think Bohn will be disappointed with the clearance there. He had options, but he pretty much put it straight out for a line.
There was
ball
a couple
to
of
Blackrock.
opportunities, and Sam Guilfoyle will be probably disappointed that he didn't take the opportunity below.
He broke clear. He had the space.
He did. He had a great opportunity. I suppose he probably wouldn't be noted for scoring a whole pile, and probably had felt that the other Erins own player was following up and to offload the opportunity.
Blackrock have the line ball. Cian O'Connor is walking away, limping away, I should say. Meany was the target, but they didn't find him. Blackrock looking to get it back, and they have got it back. That will be some score if it goes over, which there's some confusion in the crowd. I think it's wide. The flags stay down.
Yeah, we mentioned about the extra time and the overtime. I think was it announced as 6 minutes, I think, of injury time. 3 minutes of injury time
announced. So that's almost up. Bohn goes long. 24 points plays 22 points. It's all over, and Erins own on the first night of the championship have beaten the champions. 218 to 119 the final score. Mark Landers, goals win games.
Absolutely, but I tell you more than that. Heart, determination, grit and belief in your own players win matches more importantly. And this was a fantastic performance from Erins own this evening. Well deserved. We were treated to a magnificent game overall, Oisín. But you'd have to give great credit to Erins own this evening, you know, backing up the performances from last year and deservedly winning this evening. And more to the point, I suppose, they came in against a really good team in Blackrock, county champions, and they have won the game fair and square in a magnificent performance.
The bear and the hero stood up once again, didn't they?
They did. Sure, look, you know, they have been fantastic performance for Erins own, along with Shea Bohn, Stephen Cronin, Dooley and Cian O'Connor. They're real mainstay guys. Then you have the younger guys, the James O'Carroll, the James O'Flynn, and I suppose up front the real key to them was Robbie O'Flynn tonight. I think I have him marked down for at least 5 points from play, but he was contributing. Everything that was good for Erins own tonight was all about Robbie O'Flynn. He was brilliant.
And he made the second goal as well. I know it was a good finish from Guilfoyle. I know it wasn't a particularly tidy pass to Guilfoyle, but it was all about his ability to win the ball and pass it and open up defences with his pace.
Absolutely. You know, he took on the opportunity. He had nothing in his mind but to split the Blackrock defence. He did get checked by one of the players, but after getting checked, he offloaded the Sam Guilfoyle, and as you rightly said in commentary, he had to stop and break his stride and come back for the ball, but Guilfoyle picked it up and rattled it back in the net, and it was probably a score in the game that gave them a bit of breathing space, because in fairness to Blackrock, they had done fantastically well to bring it, I think, from 6 points to within 2 points. There was a couple of balls dropped in at the edge of the square late in the game that Shea Bohn handled excellently, and, you know, great credit due to both teams this evening. But you'd have to say, hats off to Erins own. They have produced the biggest upset, I suppose, of the championship so far this weekend. And I suppose for anybody who's watching in, the hot favourites tonight, Blackrock, you know, it just shows that if the attitude is right, a performance, anybody can beat anybody in this championship. And it's a huge start for the championship, I would say, across the board in Cork.
Brilliant from Erins own, but what went wrong for Blackrock? Because they weren't at their best tonight. They didn't play particularly well.
I don't know, it's very hard to say what went wrong. Like, you end up scoring 218 in a match, you know, but you ultimately have scored 119. But we'd mentioned in the commentary earlier on that Gavin Connolly was very busy. I think he made about 4 saves in the first half, and Shea Bohn had all he was doing was handling the ball in the edge of the square this evening. So I think that would be one thing that Blackrock will be looking at, is how did they give the Erins own forwards. They obviously got 2 goals, but it could have been 4 more goals scored this evening. I suppose that's the first thing. I thought a lot of the game, to be honest with it, that Blackrock, you know, seemed to be moving the gears pretty well in the first half, but just when Erins own upped it slightly, they were getting all the 50-50 balls. They were winning all of them. And to win championship matches, you need to win the 50-50 balls. And that's what Erins own did this evening. I suppose to go back and, you know, what else could Blackrock have done? I think some of the balls that they hit into the forward line were hit too far into the corner, whereby your forwards running out to the sideline 40 yards out to gather the ball, then having to turn on the man. Maybe some more direct ball, a little bit closer to the goals, may have worked slightly better for them.
Okay, well, we've had a great opening night in the Co-op Superstores Premier Senior Hurling Championship here on the Irish Examiner YouTube channel. We've got another big game tomorrow evening, Douglas against Glen Rovers. Look, the lads will build up to that from the ground and they'll build up to it in detail, but just give me a quick look at that if you can.
The Glen go into the game as very, very hot favourites. They were in the county final last year. They played magnificent hurling in the county final last year. Were very, very unlucky not to win. Douglas last year played in one of the best games of the season that I witnessed, which was Blackrock and Douglas. That was a fantastic game. Douglas have a good sprinkling of inter-county forwards and the likes of Alan Cadigan, Shane Kingston and Ryan Turnbull. They'll be looking to the three of them, and they'll be looking for, I suppose, Mark Harrington and Owen Cadigan to anchor them in the defence. After tonight's result, Oisín, you just couldn't call how these championship matches are going to go. Blackrock were raging hot favourites tonight. Erins on threw that out the window by winning.
I sometimes think people don't look at Erins Own when they're making the odds for these games. Erins Own love making a mockery of the odds, don't they?
Yeah, but you see, one of the things is that Blackrock last year had a free run of all their players. They had none of their players were involved with Cork last year, so they had them all. I think maybe Michael O'Hanlon might have been involved for certain bits, but this year they had a good number of players that were away from the panel. They didn't have, they had an uninterrupted, I suppose, preparation for it, and having your full team out all of the time makes a difference in terms of preparation. But you know what, the big thing for tonight is that the standard was good. The competitiveness is good, was really well handled by the referee and Dermot Kerwin. It was a very honest game. And then you throw the supporters in on top of it as well. It was a massive night for Cork hurling. And I suppose the fact that the underdog has won, the county champions have been beaten in the start, that's really the message that's going out to Cork hurling this evening. It's a fantastic occasion to be here. And, fair play to the Examiner, fair play to the Coop Superstores to make it happen, to be able to live stream the game this evening.
Okay, Mark Landers, thank you very much. Are you back tomorrow night for the other game?
No, I leave it to Ger Cunningham this morning.
Ger Cunningham and Patrick Mulcahy will be at the game for the Irish Examiner, and hopefully they'll get a good one. And hopefully it will be as good as tonight's was, but it is quite the standard to live up to. A bit of a surprise on the opening night of the Co-op Superstores Premier Senior Hurling Championship. I almost said superstars rather than superstores, but the guys in Erins Own will be superstars around the village tomorrow, and I think when I say they'll enjoy the night, they'll be in a good mood after the victory. I don't think they'll be out celebrating wildly or anything like that, because there's still a lot of work to do. This, of course, a group format, and Blackrock still have obviously two more games, as do Erins Own. Tomorrow in this group, it is the meeting of St Finbarr's against Charleville. So nothing guaranteed for Erins Own, but they have got a good start. The final score 218 to 119. My thanks to Mark Landers on co-commentary. My thanks to you for watching. As I say, more action tomorrow live on the Irish Examiner YouTube channel. Douglas against Glen Rovers. That promises to be quite the game. From Páirc Uí Rinn, good night.